All right, everyone. So today we're going to be discussing racism and Odinism. So, Ashley, you have some questions for me that you wanted to ask?
Yeah. Um, is Odin a god who prefers one so-called race?
No, as far as my experience with Odin, um, he isn't a god who really cares about where you come from or what's in your blood. He's very much a god that is concerned with your desire for knowledge. If you desire knowledge like Odin, if you want to understand the multiverse in an Odinic way, then no, he's not a god that is concerned with, what is precisely in your so-called blood. Because, of course, we know that, well, I know, you know, and many other people know that race doesn't actually exist. There's only one race, the human race. Ethnicity doesn't even really exist. It's all about culture. And anybody who reaches out to the Odinic, Odin, but also the Odinic culture, is accepted and should be accepted because Odin is concerned with one thing: preserving this realm and all of Midgard and all of the multiverse for as long as possible. Um, Now, in all of the texts that we have, a lot of them from Snorri Snorlason, which was a Christian in Iceland, um, and other texts, there is no differentiation between one so-called race and another so-called race. So I've had a lot of different people approach me saying, Odin, he's about, our one people, and if you're of a different blood that isn't white, or if you're mixed ancestry, then Odin doesn't want you. But that's just not true. I mean, when we look at not only when we connect with him as far as developing our own personal gnosis with him, when we look at the texts themselves, there's no differentiation of this idea of race. That's an idea that came later. Um, but in conclusion to that question, Odin, as far as my working with him magically, getting close to him in relation to his different forms, Odin, Alfadir, Wordwolf, Allfather. Wordwolf helps me, gain the ability of speech and how to discuss in an intelligent way and logic, as well as understanding things. Um, and also, of course, Dragatrotin, which means Lord of the Undead, as I try to speak to whites and bring them forth so that they can speak with me and work for me. Um, in these different forms that I know Odin, not one of them has to do with this thing so-called race. Um, Now, there are many different aspects of Odin that you can connect to in a number of ways, but no name of Odin, no aspect of Odin is concerned with this thing we call race. At any rate, go ahead with the next question if you have another one.
Yeah. Have you encountered racism in Odinic culture?
Yes, I have. The crazy thing is, there's been well, more than a few people that have approached me trying to learn about Odin. And, I make this very plain. I'm three-fourths so-called white. Once again, I don't recognize race. And a fourth Mexican. But I'm a fourth straight Norwegian Viking. But regardless of race, I say this constantly in my videos. Like, it's not about race. But there's been several people who have contacted me that are trying to learn about Odin, trying to connect with Odin. Then I help them connect with Odin. And then they seem obsessed with the idea of making it about either Odinic culture being against Muslims or against a different race, so-called race. And then, you know, I basically tell them that that's not what it's about. And then some of them have kind of like said, okay, well, I don't want to offend you, and I don't want to. You taught me a lot, so I'm not going to get in this conversation with you. But they keep on doing it, and there's been a few people that were like, they just break up contact with me because I keep on telling them that it's not about that, it's not about that, it's not about that. And every single person that have contacted me has known that I'm not so-called full white, but I have a lot of knowledge about Odin that I've helped people with. And it's been a small minority of people that have contacted me about Odin that I've basically just, they broke contact with me because they really couldn't understand Odin's name. Um, but yes, I've encountered that several times, and it's always from people that are seeking information about Odin that I help, and then they just can't accept certain things later on as we go down the line. But also, there's been a few people, not very many at all, who, say, oh, you have to be 100% this or that. Um, you have to have this political opinion or that political opinion, which is ridiculous because the gods don't care about that. But anyway, go ahead with your next question.
Actually, do the gods care about politics is the next thing I was going to ask you.
Yeah, no. You see a lot of groups that, like the Sons of Odin, I think they're called in Canada. Um, a lot of groups that use Odin's name, but they don't really try to connect to Odin at all. They don't know how to. They don't care to. They just assume Odin is a racial identity and a racial leader, like Hitler or something like that. They don't think of him as a god. They don't try to connect him. They don't do rituals. They don't actually care about the runes, which is connecting to the runes is a huge part of connecting to Odin, because this is a very big part of the knowledge that he can provide to humanity, because he made the sacrifices to gain the knowledge about the runes. They only care about their idea of Odin is a god of white people, and anybody who's not white cannot, they have to have their own gods. Or it's a lot of Odinic people also go against Christianity from this angle, like, oh, Christ was just Middle Eastern. That might have been true that he is Middle Eastern, but the idea that we can use Odin in a political or a socio-economic sense is ridiculous, because Odin is transdimensional, multiversal. Um, if we think that he cares about politics of like what people we allow into a nation, or what political identity we have, um, which, if you like, conservatism versus liberalism, all of these things are very human-based ideas that Odin has no care to be a part of, because that's not something that Odin really is as an identity. No matter which name you approach him through, he's not going to have a connected political identity to a certain politic at a certain time. That is just completely imaginary. And anybody who's trying to use Odin in their own political agenda or their own racial agenda has no idea who Odin is and doesn't care. Most of these people don't do rituals, like I said, they don't cast runes, and they have no desire to be a part of the Odinic consciousness. At any rate, go ahead and go to the next question.
Actually, this is the last question that I had prepared. What have you learned about Odin?
Now, I've made a lot of videos about Odin and what I've learned from him. There's a few things that I could say in regards to this particular video, though I have a lot of Odin videos, a lot of different pieces of knowledge. You have to approach Odin like he is your grandfather. You have to have a shrine. You have to be able to at least work towards understanding the runes. And Odin, he is a god of preservation. He is a father. He wants everything to last for as long as possible, so that his children, which is all of humanity, anybody who chooses him as father, to advance, as far as possible before this world kind of collapses on itself, before the multiverse kind of like crumples in, before a new multiverse comes out after a period of delay and rest. He's a god that is very harsh. He's not kind in the general sense, but he does care. He is a god that is concerned with the benefit of all things. There are certain sacrifices that we make, different parts of our lives. Animals make sacrifices all the time. But the point is that we're all working towards this one reality of really being just like Odin along the Odinic path. You could say everything is on the Odinic path of realizing oneself, sacrificing the small self to the big self, as Odin sacrificed himself to himself on the tree of Yggdrasil as he hung for 9 days and 9 nights. As far as being pierced by a spear, that might be Christian oriented. That might be a little bit of overlap, but Odin definitely sacrificed his small self to his big self, his ego to his grander soul, and that is an example for us. Um, Odin is he's a one of many names and titles. He has to do with fertility, war, knowledge, trade, speech, intimidation, um, even doing bad deeds sometimes to achieve a grander aim, working with the dead, bald father, uh, uh, father of the dead, father of death. Um, he has to do with love, with poetry. He has to do with almost every aspect that it is to be a human being, and that's why he has different names and titles, because he has these different aspects we can approach him through, and he's very all encompassing. You can approach him for anything in any way as long as you're willing to make a sacrifice, offer him mead, offer him maybe meat, bread, willing to meditate upon him, willing to get close to the runes, cast runes so that you can communicate with him, keep an Odinic journal on his shrine so that you can write down things that you think about Odin and maybe focus in on Odin as you look upon your shrine and then write what you think he is saying to you. There's a lot of ways to connect to Odin, but Odin is just so vast. It's hard to sum him up in a short segment. Um, so I guess we can end with is there any questions that you have, Ashley, as far as what I've spoken about here today?
No, actually, I don't have any further questions.
Pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, you covered a lot.
Excellent. All right, so thank you very much for joining me on this video, Ashley. Um,
Oh,
and thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions about Odin, if you have any comments, concerns, shoot them down in the comment section below on YouTube. I'd love to read them and try to respond to as many as I can, which I try to respond to every single comment in all my videos. Just remember that Odin's not going to work for you unless you make genuine effort to work towards his path. Thank you very much. And I hope all of you have a great day.